All right, let's go. We ready?
Go team.
Let's do it. Hi everyone, welcome to Coats and Jackets, and I'm here with Kimberly.
And this is Mandy.
And we're doing Wizarding World Book Club.
Yay! So we're really behind, and we've decided that, you know what, we're just probably not going to be releasing these on the same dates as the Wizarding World Book Club. This is something we're doing for fun.
Yeah, we're doing it for fun, and we're really enjoying this, and we're going to take our time with it, and we're going to do a bunch of bonus content as we think of it, and we're just really going to extend this and have fun, and so you can look forward to at least one video a week.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, we're already behind on the book club now, but that's fine. We're not worried. We're just having a time.
Yeah, as long as you guys are willing to put up with it, we're okay with it. The Twitter discussion from education, chapter section of the book club. Do you think the house point system is fair?
And we did go over that in the education video.
Mm-hmm.
However, two things we didn't mention that go towards the point system. One was the Quidditch matches.
Mm-hmm.
They count for a lot of points, and that furthers our point about it does create competition and could create strong divisions. However, the other thing is that all of the students are paired together in the classes with opposite houses. So that sort of forces them to work with another house to get points in that class. Because you have to think, if more people know the answer, then more people get points. Whereas if maybe you can't figure it out on your own, then you don't get points for your house, but nobody gets points then.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard to say because I've never seen an actual breakdown of like how points are rewarded. I mean, if the reason why you're winning all these points, if you get a majority of points for winning Quidditch, I mean, that could possibly be not fair if you have, a very athletic group. Although, from the sounds of it, I think Gryffindor wins the Quidditch Cup in this year. But I don't know if this is the first time they've won it in like 7 years.
Yeah, and I don't know how much that contributes to winning the House Cup. I know it counts for a significant amount of points.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like from what we see in the classrooms that you do get a lot of points for being very well prepared and for figuring out the answers properly.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think that in that way they're trying to promote camaraderie by pairing them with other houses. Like Harry does say that they have potions and flying with Slytherin.
Mm-hmm. I do think that it is fair. I mean, when you look at the points that are rewarded for, like you said, being well prepared, versus points taken away for, bad behavior. I think good behavior should be rewarded and bad behavior should be punished.
Yeah, and it makes you more mindful of what you're doing. And in the end, like, a little bit of competition is healthy. And as we discussed in the other education video,
Mm-hmm.
there are lessons to be learned about competition and not taking it too far.
Yes. The next question is rebellion a good or bad thing at Hogwarts?
Kind of both.
We've seen rebellion get rewarded and punished.
I think it depends on the type of rebellion and how you're doing it. Like, are you rebelling because something isn't right and you feel like you really need to be outspoken in order to have something corrected? Or are you being rebellious because you just don't want to follow the rules?
That's a good point. It's always good to stand up for what you believe in, even if it's against the rules. Sometimes rules need to change.
Yeah, and sometimes the only way to change them is to push back.
Bend a little.
That being said, you do have to be careful how you're pushing back, but still.
Mm-hmm. There's a right way and a wrong way to do things, and I think a little bit of rebellion is a good thing within a certain boundaries.
I think what Hogwarts wants to teach is to teach you to think for yourself.
Oh, 100%. And there's nothing wrong with being an individual thinker. It's good to work with others and work as a team, but you never want to be like a lemming. You never just want to follow somebody off the edge of the cliff. Just because it's popular doesn't mean that you should do it. The next question is, who learns the most from the troll incident in the dungeon?
Now that one sort of brings us into our topic of friendship as well
Yes.
as education.
it 100% does, because I really feel like the troll incident was, and I don't think I'm wrong in that, it's the beginning of their friendship. It's really when Ron and Harry go into the dungeon to save Hermione, even though they don't like her.
Yeah, and it's their first situation testing out their friendship and how they're going to work together to accomplish something. Because we know Harry and Ron are friends, but that's never been tested up to this point. Now, we did talk about it a bit previously as part of First Impressions, because this is also the moment where Harry and Ron's first impression of Hermione is shattered and they see another side of her. So we kind of had to talk about it a little bit then as well.
True. In the book, Harry and Ron remember that Hermione is in the bathroom crying, and they run down in an attempt to save her and accidentally lock the troll in the bathroom with her. And they rush to her aid, and, you know, Hermione was grateful for that. She lied to help protect Ron and Harry from losing more points. Or possibly getting expelled for chasing after a troll.
Well, it would have been possibly expulsion, but the interesting thing about that is she didn't want McGonagall to have a bad impression of Harry. And that was the thing I think really drove her there. And that sort of shows her bravery and her ability to step up, because we know how concerned she is with doing well and not getting expelled. And because of his name value, and it was kind of wrong for McGonagall to assume this, but she sort of assumed that Harry thought he could take care of the troll himself because of his special circumstances.
Because he's Harry Potter. But again, that's the reason why Dumbledore left him with the Dursleys, so that he wouldn't think like that.
Yes, but now that he's been in the school for several months now, and he's been exposed to the fame, she's sort of wondering maybe if it didn't start to get to his head, especially since he'd been allowed to already break rules previously, i.e. Quidditch.
Well, she does allow him to keep his broom, or actually, she does allow him to play Quidditch as a seeker as a first year, which is not allowed.
So she doesn't want to feel like, because of his name value and from what she thinks may be perceived as special treatment from her and Dumbledore, that he can get away with anything at the school. So she automatically assumes, oh, he's gone to take care of it because he thinks he can, rather than tell the teacher. What's actually happened is he's thought about Hermione, has gone to try to find her in the bathrooms. The school staircases change, doors appear and disappear, like fake doors will show up as well to try to trick you. It's very hard to find your way around. So we can't emphasize enough how much they do not mean to lock the troll in the bathroom with Hermione.
It's true. As soon as they realize it, they do go running back to unlock the door. And it's really what cements their friendship. It's really when they went from being a duo with Ron and Harry to a trio. And it's really just the beginning of their solid friendship, which I think friendship is actually a pretty solid theme throughout all of the books. But for sure, this is where we see the beginning of it.
I would argue this is where Harry and Ron learn the most about Hermione, because this is where their first impression of her sort of falls apart. She took a huge risk in saying, oh, it was me, I thought I could handle the troll. She just went with what McGonagall was already expecting, and she knows what her reputation of herself is, and she feels like this is believable. And she came up with that, like, on the spot, in the moment, like, this is the most believable story, this is what we'll go with, rather than they ran off to try to save me, because it'll still look bad. Why didn't they just tell the teacher first?
Exactly. Don't be a hero. So there's a really good quote about when Ron, Harry, and Hermione became really good friends, and it's, from that moment on, Hermione Granger became their friend. There were some things you can't share without ending up liking each other, and knocking out a 12-foot mountain troll was one of them. And I think that that's probably true. I mean, if we had to go take out a 12-foot mountain troll, we'd probably be best friends for life. And just, you know. Well,
it was a good way to show that no matter how they felt about each other, they were willing to be in that sort of danger together. Hermione learned that she's not always cool in the face of danger. Harry learned that he was, and Ron learned that he was rather practical and efficient in that kind of situation.
He knew exactly what to do. So which character would you mostly likely be friends with and why? And additionally, which character would you like to have be at your side in a challenge?
Ooh, that's a toughie. So why don't we tackle that by looking at some of the different traits that we have that makes them...
It's a good call because
friends.
I have no idea. I have no idea who I would pick. I mean, Hermione is smart, she's witty, she's on top of everything. She helps Ron and Harry with their schoolwork, make sure that they have the right answers. She doesn't let them copy.
No, although she does lead them a lot, but she wants them to get there.
She wants them to exceed and excel in school, so she's really helpful. She kind of takes on a little bit of a nagging mothering aspect a little bit, but not too much. I think she's
good with the research and development.
She's the brain.
But she's not so great once it comes to keeping the level head and the practical application of it.
That's true. So, I mean, I feel like Hermione's the brain. Ron, I feel like, is the heart.
Yeah.
He's the heart of the whole operation. He's steady, he's caring, he made friends with a stranger on a train.
Yeah. And I mean, he has his moments in and out where he's like slightly selfish and he's learning to find his way. But as we've said, he's one of 7 children. So it is a bit of a learning curve and an adjustment, especially now that he's friends with somebody so famous.
But I think for Ron...
But he is really cementing himself and finding his own way.
And for sure. And for Ron in particular, he comes from a family that doesn't have much. I mean, but he's willing to give away and share whatever he has. I mean, he calls his mom and says, I don't think Harry's going to get very many presents. And she sends along a sweater.
She knits a sweater because of that, yeah.
And on Christmas Day, Harry was there, and all the Weasleys were there, and they basically made him part of his family, or made him part of their family. And I really feel like that's what Ron's all about. He's the heart. He's like, he's got a solid sense of family about him. Harry is the ringleader, really. He's the center. He's the glue that binds the brain, the brain and the heart together.
And he is very much a mix of both of those things. He's not quite as logical as Hermione, but he's able to make these intuitive leaps. Like, Hermione is very strict book logic, and she gets better at making the intuitive leaps, but Harry understands those right away, and he can start to put things together. He also stays very level-headed in a bad situation.
Harry has a very strong sense of right and wrong. He, I don't want to say righteous, because he's 11, and he's got some...
But he feels very, very strongly with his own moral code about what he feels is the right or wrong thing to do.
About protecting his friends, and about he thinks that he's the only one that can defeat Voldemort. And so I think he's the glue between the two. He's very strong, chivalrous, brave, for sure. Now, there's a 4th friend who I feel like gets neglected quite a bit.
He does in certain ways because he's not in on the inner circle. And I feel like this is a failing on their part for not being more trusting of Neville. Because I feel like he would have been a good one to trust because he's so loyal to the 3 of them.
Neville on several occasions has come up in the book as a very loyal individual. You know, he thinks of Harry, Ron, and Hermione as really good friends. I mean, he's kind of cowardly, which, you know, some people say, well, why are you in Gryffindor? But the fact of the matter is that Neville is extremely brave.
He's brave because he does things despite being afraid of them. It's often said bravery is not the absence of fear, it's doing it despite how afraid you are.
Exactly. There was at one point where Harry turned to Neville and told him that he was worth 12 of Malfoy.
Yeah, and he gave him, was it a chocolate frog?
Gave him a chocolate frog.
And he was like, don't worry about it, you're worth 12 of him. In such a casual way that it was almost a toss-away line, as if to say, everybody knows how good you are, Neville. You don't need to be worried about it.
And that that sentence that gave Neville the strength to, when the Slytherins were making fun of Harry while he was playing Quidditch, he turned around and said, "I'm worth 12 of you, Malfoy," and started a fist fight.
It's true.
So
which Ron got in on.
Which Ron got in on. You know, I'm not condoning the fist fight, but I think that, you know, Neville feels very strongly about his friends, and that kind of leads me into the next question. How would you describe Ron, Harry, and Hermione's friendship with Neville? Like, how do you think they feel about him?
I feel like they don't trust him as much as they should. He's proven very loyal, almost to a fault. And the one time he's not as loyal, it's only because they haven't let him in on something they've needed to. And for the sake of not getting in as much trouble themselves so that they can figure out this mystery they're trying to figure out, they haven't gone to him after. Like when they get in trouble for being out at night with the dragon. Which McGonagall thinks is payback for when Malfoy was out of did the duel thing the last time. That Harry was doing the same thing. Pretend they have a dragon.
Yes.
And then that'll get Malfoy out of bed in order to prove there's a dragon, because of course nobody is going to believe such a crazy claim as there's a dragon, because they're illegal in the wizarding world to keep as pets, and they are very hard to maintain, and only the most skilled people can do it, and they would be hard to get hold of to even own as a pet because they are so regulated.
And poor Neville was out wandering the school trying to warn them, and
that Malfoy knew about this dragon.
I got caught in the crossfire, and Harry and Hermione, in an attempt to kind of just like,
not get Hagrid in trouble,
said, yeah, there was no dragon. Poor Neville got caught in the crossfire, and he really felt like they had lied to him as well. Like, he was trying to warn them.
He really believed that this story, and he feels like, oh, I got caught up in the same trap as Malfoy, I'm stupid and gullible. After McGonagall had done her bit, they should have gone to him and said, listen, Neville, this is not... Like, they should have made the time and said, there was a dragon. Thank you for trying this. We did get caught, unfortunately. And just explained what had happened with Hagrid in the hut and, like, folded him into the loop. But they didn't. And that was such a missed opportunity.
And it's a shame, really, because this whole book series really focuses on the three of them. And I almost like it's not the Three Musketeers, it's the Four Musketeers. And, you know, Neville is a constant throughout this entire book.
He's a constant throughout the series.
He's a constant throughout the series. And he is, while Harry, Ron, and Hermione are the main protagonists, he ends up being more of a sidekick. And I feel like that's not fair.
Yeah, he really has a lot of potential, and he's shown just how nice he can be, how brave he can be, how loyal. And it took guts for him to stand up to Harry, Ron, and Hermione and be like, listen, no more escapades out at night. You're going to get us in trouble. You're going to lose us more points. Like, you know, this has happened twice already, and one of those times I got in trouble with you. I think of the main people, I would pick Neville.
As a friend, you know, I don't know if I'd pick Neville.
No, I definitely would. I would 100% pick Neville.
You'd pick Neville? I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I like the braininess of Hermione because I like a good study buddy. I think it's always good to have somebody who helps you learn.
I think I would be friends with all of them, but I think I would be the closest with Neville just because I like his sincerity. He's very, very, very sincere and genuine in everything he does, and there's not anything malicious, or he never even tries to cover things up or hide them. He doesn't even think to do that, even once they get in trouble.
It's true. I can't make this... I mean, I like Neville as well. I think that he's loyal and he makes a great friend, and he is a little bit forgetful, and he is kind of... I don't know. I generally... I don't know. I think I'd go with Hermione. I do. I do think I'd go with Hermione. I like a good brainy, witty individual who I can
You
banter
can really
with.
have that conversation with. Yeah.
Exactly. Like somebody who challenges my mind. I feel like Hermione would do that for me. But Neville would probably... I don't think I would ignore him like they do. I feel it's such a shame.
Yeah, he definitely would have been more part of the group, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And that was definitely a missed opportunity there.
For sure. Now, which character would you like to have by your side in a challenge?
Oh, that's tough.
I think I'd have to pick Harry.
Yeah, he's a little rash, but he's also the most level-headed of the three.
And I think it's always good to have somebody balanced when you're going to a challenge, especially when you don't know what that challenge is. It's not good to have somebody who's book smart if you end up playing basketball.
Yeah. Whereas Harry's got a bit of the smarts and the wit, and he's also got the athleticism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people made that mistake with me. I'm super tall. I'm real bad at basketball. Real bad.
Yeah.
I got no coordination.
It's fine.
Yeah.